Well, good morning. Back again for the last half hour. We're going to take a look at back in the past to the sort of magazine program that we used to make, but also it evokes some memories. Now, hopefully, we've been lucky with the signal this morning. Let's hope that the signal will continue and that this piece of video will be acceptable in terms of viewing. But we'll have to take the chance on that today because we don't have a monitor. The monitor went wrong. It's gone away for fixing. It'll be back on Wednesday. So we're flying a bit blind today. Nevertheless, we're doing our best. Keep going. It's been an interesting program so far, but let's see how things are going to pan out now. Are we going to be lucky for the last something of the day? I don't know. Not looking very good at the moment. But then again, there we go. I think that we found the folder. Have we? Yes. I think. Yes. No. But we're on the track. We're on the track. No, we're not. So, as usual, we started out the day quite well, and we were doing quite well, but we're not now. And no, I'm afraid we're not. So I'm sitting here looking like a silly monkey. So what we'll do is we'll play you a couple of things from the past. Here's one that cocktails now are coming back into vogue. In fact, I was looking at the supermarket as I shopped the other day, and many more bottles of pre-made cocktails are appearing on the shelves again. Well, they were very popular a few years ago. I think that this is just a little trip back along Cocktail Row. So we'll play it and hope that it's something that will appeal. Well, wine. Wine. No beer. Gracious as well. Not even going to talk about wine. Thought I was, but I've decided instead
and sometimes the nose, ooh, the nose for a nice drink, steers you in a different direction, as indeed does a nose for a good story. I was going to spend just a minute or two talking about cocktails. Now I'm going to talk about them for several minutes. Because when I was researching cocktails to find out where they were nowadays, and I thought that they'd all but disappeared, even though one of my favourite tipples is a Bloody Mary, which properly made is indeed considered to be a cocktail. As I researched and remembered some of the glory days, I also remembered a French journalist called Pierre Danineau, who in the 60s wrote a column for Le Figaro. And there's always been friendly banter between the French and the English about how they see us and we see them. They call us roast beef. I don't dare tell you what we sometimes call them. But the roast beef, Major Thompson, a character created by Pierre Danineau, was the typical English gentleman. He always was impeccably dressed in a suit, carried a brolly. Some places in the Western world it's known as a bumbershoot, and was carrying a briefcase in most instances, in which Danineau pointed to an invisible briefcase in which one could see a sandwich, which he said every English gentleman carried for his lunch, and also a penny. A penny in old coins, I don't know, about half a cent, I suppose, half a what, but anyway, half a new pence was carried because that's the amount it took to put into the slot of the public toilet. So every English gentleman was always prepared. And Danineau paints an incredible picture of the English gentleman. But in one of his books, and he wrote several about Major Thompson and about the English, is he writes about Major Thompson going to New York and finding himself, and I suppose this would be in the 1960s, finding himself invited to a cocktail party. And as a good English gentleman, sort of more or less pines, what on earth is a cocktail party? Well, I was in North America in 1960, and I enjoyed many, many cocktail parties. They were the center of social existence, and people prepared very carefully not only the food that they would offer to their guests, but also what sort of cocktails. One of the vestiges of the cocktail circuit was a chain of cocktail bars, I suppose they were, but they were restaurant cocktail bars called Trader Vic's, and they were built in the image of a Polynesian war room, where the warriors would gather ready to go out and bash heads over any silly Englishmen who dared to stand on their shores, and indeed they did do to various people, including Captain Cook. But these were stylized cocktail bars, and they had some exotic cocktails. They were a mixture of rum-based and fruit juice cocktails with wonderful names like Wahine, a Molokai Mike, and the wonderful Scorpion. The Scorpion was a large bowl with a gardenia floating in the middle of this rum and fruit cocktail concoction. Each of the drinkers was given a straw, and you raced to see who could finish it. You didn't need too many of those throughout the evening to know that you'd been at Trader Vic's and you'd had a Scorpion. The strange thing was that the bowl in which it came, there were 4 fertility figures, and it was almost impossible not to sort of pat them on the head. So I rather think that they helped the population explosion at the time. Nonetheless, that was the cocktail of the day. And cocktails were in such full flurry, such full flush. They were so accessible in society that Esquire magazine and Playboy magazine put out books on how to make the perfect cocktail, but also 365 reasons to have a cocktail party. And what I remember particularly was Jiffy the giraffe's birthday. Jiffy the giraffe was an animal that had been secreted in one zoo or another throughout the world, but everybody was invited on a particular day to have a cocktail party to celebrate the giraffe's birthday. I woke the other day and thought about cocktails, and I thought, yes, you still see them advertised in pubs and bars, but the range and the wonder of the cocktail age has gone almost forever. Now, in researching this, I thought, in my halcyon days, I had my wahinis and the occasional scorpion in Trader Vic's in Vancouver, in British Columbia. And I thought, I wonder what it was like. Do I remember it? So I looked up various pictures of the Trader Vic's cocktail bar in the Bayshore Inn in Vancouver. And sure enough, it flooded back with memories. But quite accidentally, I came across a newspaper article praising a well-known local lady, Diane Forsyth Abbott. And she was pictured with a number of ladies, and she was a master of the art of making good banquets and dinner parties and so on, and had gained international recognition for that. And I looked and I thought, you know, that name rings a bell. So I did a bit more research, and sure enough, my good friend of many a year, David Kingsmill Abbott, had married her. I think she was about the fourth wife that he'd had, and I knew all of them. David was a great character, an Irishman. He once, when he was in Ireland and I was in Northern, turned up at the front door and said, Keith, I've made a mistake. I made a booking at a hotel and they haven't got any record of it. I've got the entire Irish athletics team with me. What can you do? So we spread the Irish athletics team out around many houses in the area and had half a dozen lying on my floor for the night. One was a trainee priest who fell in love with my daughter, which was not a very good thing for either of them, since priests were still, I suppose, supposed to not have sex and to be absolutely pure as snow. Anyway, I wandered a little bit off track because David would regularly hold court in the Bayshore Inn to have cocktails. We had many a good time, but he was recognized by the authority in British Columbia by being given a fellowship, a lifetime award for his contribution to broadcasting, not least of which is also to cocktail drinking. And I got that little thing again which tells me that I'm running out of time, but yes, it's a good thing probably, because I've rabbited on for quite some time. It's a strange way, I suppose, of talking about the cocktail. But cocktails are wonderful things, and I would hope that they might make a return, and that in remembering my good friend David Kingsmill Abbott, by seeing his picture with his wife, Anne Abbott, and his daughter Ingrid in newspaper articles surrounding Trader Vic's, made me cast my mind back to different days when I was living in North America. The cocktail was king in North America. I'm not sure that it was ever king here. I'm not sure that it ever really caught on. But a cocktail is a cocktail is a cocktail, and they are marvelous things. So we had planned to talk about wine snobbery, quite important. So many people are intimidated by going to parties where everybody seems to know what they're talking about when it comes to wine. 90% of them don't. It's just an effect. It's a way to show that they are rather superior to the people around them. So don't be intimidated, and there is a little trick that you can get around to fight back. And we were also going to have a little bit of a cricket, because many a day I have sat in the long room at many different county ground and England ground, and had a drink, not necessarily a cocktail, while the innings was going on and wickets were tumbling and bowlers were having a field day. As so often happened in the 70s and the 80s. Not so much today. We're rather better at cricket than we were. But anyway, we will talk about wine snobbery, and we'll talk about cricket in our next program, which comes in a week's time. So I hope that you'll forgive my ramblings, but it just shows how you can start off with Pierre Danino and a column in Le Figaro about what an Englishman is in the eyes of a Frenchman, all the way through the cocktail circuit to Vancouver, British Columbia, where I suddenly rediscover an old friend who unfortunately passed into the great cocktail bar in the sky in 2017, David Kingsmill Abbott. So please forgive me for my memories, and I'll see you soon. In the cocktail way, toodle pip, toodle pip.
Back again. I was just waiting for that to end. I got distracted by something that was happening outside the window. We're talking about cocktails, and as usual, Kevin, who is preparing the beer for the week for the White Hart Hotel, where we're broadcasting, is he always gets me to be the official taster, see whether it's okay. I'm going to let's have a sip. Yeah, it's fine, Kevin. It's good. Oh, very nice, actually. And the nice thing is, of course, is I'm having a drink before the sun is over the yard arm, and there aren't too many people that are able to do that. So, coming after a cocktail thing, whether good, bad, or indifferent as it was, is it's mm, refreshing, refreshing. Now, I did actually. He has to be very careful. Find the programs that I was looking for, and I hope that they're okay. But, and he said, "Oh yes, there we go." Now, this is some of the early stuff that we did. I'm not quite sure what quite the quality will be, but it's in two parts, so we'll just go to the first part today, and it's all about our patch, the place in which Mirador operates, in which you live and work and play and laugh and cry and the rest of it. Oh dear! I think there was a movie. It was an all-star movie. Um, it got several stars in it. Was Helen Mirren in it? I'm not quite sure, but anyway, it's called Love and Pain and the Whole Damn Thing. It's rather amusing, but I thought the title was rather good. So let's try Love and Pain and the Whole Damn Thing, and let's see what it's like.
welcome to Mirador Television. It's local TV, but probably not local TV as you know it. We don't have much cash, so for one thing, we have to do much of our stuff outside. We don't even have a studio. So we don't even have a weather presenter. But we will try to bring you the weather. So when you see me with an umbrella, it's raining. So when I have my walking stick, it's fine. If my hat blows off, it's windy. And if I'm wearing a bikini, it's hot. Not that you're going to see me in a bikini very often. The body's gone, you see. Not a pretty sight. But when it comes to mixed weather, well, we really have a problem. It's silly of us to serve up the same old rubbish that you can see on regular television, so we're serving up rubbish of our own. But I hope that it's nutty enough to bring you back to watch us again. Stick with us, Nutty TV. Now, what's what?
Well, no, really, the quality just isn't good enough. We keep struggling with this, and we think we've cracked it, and it comes back and kicks us in the ass, and that's what's happening today. But we've had we actually started an hour early, actually. 35 minutes early this morning. So I guess we shouldn't feel badly about closing 15 minutes early under the circumstances. And I hope I keep on saying that we'll fix it, and I keep on being assured that it's fixable, and it doesn't end up being fixed. So God only knows what the answer is. Less much. What we need to do is to broadcast from Jupiter, so that we can beam down to you all. Signal is perfectly okay in the office. It's perfectly okay. But it just can't seem to escape through the thick walls of the hotel. So we'll just have to have a go at breaking it down. Anyway, it wasn't a bad morning, all in all. There were some good things and some better things. And we're going to keep at it. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we have Stuart. I keep wanting to say Downey, Stuart Dalby, is Derek Haggard, is on the various issues that are going on in Lewis with the council, and then after that we got John Henty to give us a little giggle, as he often does with his brand of humour. So that's it for today. Thanks to the barristers, and thanks to everything we've tried to do today, and hopefully things will be much better tomorrow when we wake up again and start the new day. So until then, Toodle pip, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you.